Your message said something about a kidnapping?
Yeah, a 15-year-old girl named Amy Jacobs was taken from her bedroom last night, 10 o'clock.
Is she here?
No, they haven't found her.
What are we doing here?
A 30-year-old woman named Lucy Householder was admitted here shortly after 10 o'clock. She collapsed at work, suffering from some kind of seizure and what her doctors are calling glossolalia.
Incoherent speech.
Technically, but whether she knew it or not, she was repeating the exact words spoken by Amy's abductor at the exact same time 20 miles across town.
That's spooky.
That's my name, isn't it?
Oubliette this podcast.
Oubliette?
Yeah, that's the best I got.
What's even that mean? Oubliette?
Oubliette.
What does that... What are you trying to say? Oubliette?
Yeah.
What does Oubliette mean?
I don't know. Nothing rhymes with Oubliette.
Are you ready to Oubliette? As in, do this podcast?
Yeah.
But,
it's tenuous, I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But welcome to episode 66. I think it's 66, isn't it?
It's in the 60s.
See, it's in the 60s.
Yeah.
Of Most Wanted.
Been around for a while.
The man that you're hearing now is Luke Costin.
Yeah.
I
would like to call him.
That's going to be expunged. And across from me is
think of a nickname. Go on.
Smelly.
No! Anywhere it hurts. My personal hygiene.
Well, I can't go too mean. That's like too much. I can't like rail into you.
That's fair. Let's keep this clean.
We'll keep it clean, exactly. Saying that, I was writing the notes out just before we went on air, and one of the producers says the F word later on in the notes.
Ooh,
so
get ready for that.
Prepare yourself, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, how has your week been, Chicks?
Yeah, it's not been bad. I did. I was meant to talk about something on the last podcast, and I completely forgot to mention it. But a couple of episodes ago, we mentioned that we were going to get ourselves fitted for suits.
Oh yeah. I did you when I listened back, because I have to listen back like to the podcast as we're editing it. I listened back to that part knowing what had already happened, and I was like, I sort of got a bit of anger inside me.
Yeah.
So I'll let you continue.
Well, we did. We went to. I'm going to happy to name and shame. I don't know whether they have it in America, the store, but we went to Debenhams, and I don't know. Again, I don't know whether it's around the world, but it's basically just it's almost like a bit of everything store, isn't it?
It's a chain and does literally everything clothes.
Yeah, it tends to be on the sort of more expensive than high street, but less expensive than sort of quality stores. We wasn't looking for anything special. We were just looking for just some nice suits for the day. So we walk in, just me and Luke. That's all I'm after. Just 2 suits for 2 guys.
A simple plan.
Yeah, and they've got this like big leaflet saying, "Oh, you come in store, we'll treat you well, we'll do all this, blah blah blah." So we walk in, and first of all, we can't find anywhere. Like, there's a sign on the wall saying this is the place, and the suits on the shelves, but it's like it doesn't look like.
Yeah, there were like 2 suits.
Yeah, there's no places to try things on, and there was no staff by the looks of it. We found someone who, didn't look like staff, but he was helping people, so we assumed he was staff, so we waited our turn, and we asked his help. I then had the single most rude experience of customer service in my lifetime.
Yeah.
He quickly put a jacket on me. Bear in mind, I was wearing shorts at the time.
And a cap.
And a cap.
Snapback cap.
And he puts a jacket on me, decides, that's right. Measures my chest, puts a waistcoat on me, that's right. So at this point, I'm already looking at Luke going, I've not even looked at myself in the mirror. I've not even picked a suit.
He's asked you twice what this is for.
Yeah, exactly. When I'm supposed to be having the who's coming. Well, we didn't even give us a chance to talk, really, did he?
No.
Told us, you're going to have to order the suits online. They'll be delivered a week before.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. I don't even know what they look like. You've not even given me a chance to sort of figure out what style I want. So he's done all this. He's sent me to the changing rooms to try on some trousers. Not even their changing rooms, across the store.
Yeah.
And so I say, as I'm walking in, okay, we'll just get our measurements. We'll get our measurements and then we'll decide. And I said, can you just measure the best man for whilst I'm doing this? He turns around and says, well, only one measurement's free. I was like, what? So I've got to guess my best man's measurements, so that we can order the suits in and hope they're like the size for the big day. absolutely atrocious. He
Yeah.
was the worst person. And I know I'm not doing it justice, but how rude was he?
Yeah, he was... It was like we inconvenienced him by asking to hire a suit from a suit hire.
Like this suit jacket that he randomly plucked out of thin air. I said, I'll give it a chance, let me look in the mirror. And there was these kids in front of the mirror. And he said, no time. Just dragged it away from me. I could not believe it.
Yeah. But bear in mind, he did give you 10% off. So.
Oh, yeah. Say my name, you'll get 10% off. Sure. What was his name? Like Jose or something like that.
Yeah, something.
Honestly, just the worst. So he gave me the measurements on the brochure. I chucked it in the bin.
I like how the line at the top was step 1, come in and we'll treat you with care. And was like, bullshit, they failed at step 1.
I'm not expecting like the bridal treatment. I'm not expecting like the big day with champagne and music and the whole shebang. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting a little bit of courtesy.
Treat me like a person.
I'm expecting to be measured for suits. That is in a suit measurement industry, is that too much to ask?
Yeah.
So we've booked in another place. We're going this weekend.
Yeah. So
fingers crossed.
Jake's getting married in his just casual wear.
Yeah, just jeans.
Jeans.
Shorts and a snapback.
Just wear a nice shirt, you'll be alright.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
That was a hell of a tale.
Yeah.
I don't think anything could top that, so we might as well just dive right into this episode, because...
Yeah, I got it, yeah.
So we're looking at episode 8 of season 3, entitled Oubliette.
No idea why.
I guess Oubliette's like a French word for... I know it means like dungeon.
That makes sense.
I think like an oubliette is like it's like a weird like rounded shaped dungeon that's easy to get in, hard to get out of. Sort of imagine like the bottom of an hourglass.
Or like a well.
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah. So I think that's what it's named after, but...
Why would you go straight to hourglass? Like, easy to get in an hourglass?
That's the shape, though. Like, that's sort of, like, classically the shape of one, I think.
But then it's the same shape as a well.
Yeah,
and wells are notorious for getting stuck in.
Yeah, but wells are usually straight, aren't they?
Oh, they actually go up and
Yeah, they sort of are hard, so you can't climb up because it's because it's curves.
Oh, okay.
I think. Don't quote me on it. I'm not so hot on my French dungeon action.
Don't lie.
This was directed by Kim Manners and written by Charles Grant Craig. Original air date was November 17th, 1995. And we will jump straight into the episode. So
let's do it.
We start off at Valley Woods High School in Seattle, Washington, and we see it's a school photography day. We see a guy photographing one of the students. Who we find out is Amy Jacobs.
Instantly hyped for the episode. It's Jewel State.
It is. What is she in?
She plays Kaylee in Firefly.
Does she?
Yeah. She's much younger. Jewel State. I didn't
even recognise her.
Yeah, she plays Kaylee. Like Firefly's one of my all-time favourite shows, and I saw it. I was like, I was hoping she'd have a bigger part, but she does well for what she does.
Yeah.
But Jewel State. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, no way. Cool.
See, I didn't even look into... I've got the name of the actor here, but I didn't even... Because I didn't recognise her, I just didn't look into what she was doing. Yeah. Strange.
Yeah.
But so she's been photographed, and we see off in the distance the photographing assistant, who I initially called Creepy Carl. Carl Wade was his name.
Instantly, oh god, it gives such a creepy vibe.
You knew exactly where this episode was going from the off. As soon as you saw him, was like, oh, okay.
It was, and they spelled that. It wasn't like it was bad acting or like it was. This was the intention that you knew where it was going. Because I think he says something along the lines of, if you're not willing to do your job, what are you even here for? And he gives this creepy sideways glance to is Amy the girl's name? Yeah. And it's just so obvious that he's obsessed with this girl. So
he's getting told off by his boss, and as you mentioned, he leaves. We then see him later on in a dark room with pictures of Amy, and he's cutting them out and cutting himself into a picture frame of the two of them.
Yeah, but not. It's not to scale. makes me. I know it's such a dark topic, but it always makes me laugh. Like, this is me with my giant girlfriend. Like, it just looks ridiculous.
Some people are into that. That's the thing.
Yeah, giant love.
Yeah. That's. I'm getting into insider trading here. That's a new topic, like a new fetish topic. That is
giant love.
That people pretend that their like significant other is a giant, and he's like,
for God's sake, this is ridiculous. What?
Yeah, there's the whole.
I mean, I gotta try it. I can't judge it before I try it. Yeah. What would you do? Like, is it the whole fee-fi faux thump?
No, not literally.
I smell the blood of an Englishman.
Not like a classical giant. They're just bigger than you, like much bigger than you is what you imagine.
But just lift me up, put me onto wardrobes and stuff.
I imagine sort of similar stuff to that. Yeah,
amazing.
But anyway, so maybe he did. Maybe this was his thing. He does have a sexual thing when he's cutting the pictures out. You can see he's getting some flow from it. So later that night, we see in Amy's bedroom. It's 10:05, which I didn't think was going to become a bigger thing. I just thought it was just that classic like panning past the clock. And we see her and her sister are asleep, and Wade comes in through the window. We hear this creaking, and he says nobody's going to spoil us, which again I thought was another throwaway line.
So creepy.
We hear the little girl scream, and as she's basically taken away, as Amy's taken away, we then cut to a fast food restaurant, and we see a waitress called Lucy Householder, who's serving people. She's being shouted at by a co-worker, and then the next time the co-worker looks at her, blood is just pouring from her nose.
Yeah.
And she collapses to the floor, and then starts saying, "Nobody is going to spoil us."
Yeah, and just to add to that, Amy's nose starts bleeding when he puts his hand over.
Yeah. Do they? You
can just sort of see a bit of blood.
I might have looked away at that point or something like that.
It's too shocking for you. No.
What is it? The fear of blood now? What's it called? I don't know.
I can't remember. Anyway. We went through this extensively for another episode.
Yeah. And we also see on a watch.
Same time.
10:05.
10:05.
So. No. Okay, I was hoping you'd join in.
I was hoping you would join in, and that would be a really good moment where we both jumped into song.
For God's sake. It's not even the right fucking tune there, is it?
No, I don't know what that was.
That was Casualty, I think. Anyway.
It would have been great. I'm sorry, listeners. You was that close to greatness. That close.
Greatness.
That could be like the bio to all of our podcast episodes. This close to greatness.
Basically.
Just missed.
We shot and we missed.
You just overshot it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, we're then at the Jacobs household the next day, and Mulder's arriving at the scene. There's lots of police around, and he goes into the bedroom and sees Mrs. Jacob. Yeah. Starts quizzing her, and she has the line of the episode where she basically says, "How would you know how I feel about this?"
Yeah.
It's just hilarious. Like, she doesn't know how much he can relate to this.
I've never been in that situation before, so I can't really sort of put myself in those shoes. But I just thought, I don't see any reason to be this rude to the people that are trying to help you.
Mm.
I can't imagine any reason why you would be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I know, like, it's got to be absolutely traumatic, and people react to it different ways. But, like, she's just so flippant, and she didn't even want to answer his questions, and he needs as much information as he can to help find your daughter.
Do you know what, though? I've actually been in this isn't a similar situation.
So you've got to be so careful, yeah.
It's not a similar situation, but I've been in a situation where somebody has seemingly refused help from people who are clearly trying to help her.
I think I know which.
Do you know where?
I think I was there.
Yeah, was it the woman who
collapsed? The old woman?
Yeah,
I remember that.
So
that was on. Oh God, that was
years ago.
16 at that point. Jesus.
So, to cut a long story short, we were coming home from, I don't know what we was doing.
We was at the pub.
But yeah, that was it, yeah. We were coming home and we saw an old woman basically fall out of her chair.
She was in like what does it call them?
Like a drive-on
mobility
chair.
scooter.
Mobility scooter, yeah. She fell out of that and basically passed it on the floor. We were sort of at a loss, didn't know what to do. Anyway, she sort of came round, looked in trouble.
Yeah, we sat with them, we called an ambulance.
The ambulance came and she switched.
Like that. Yeah, she was like the meanest old woman.
Yeah.
As soon as that ambulance got there. She was
Swear.
there for like 15 minutes and she was lovely.
Yeah, she was fine. And then she was just swearing, hurling abuse at these two ambulance drivers who were taking her into the back.
And apparently the ambulance drivers knew her, and it says it happens a lot.
It's crazy. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess people do react badly.
I suppose, yeah. It doesn't make sense to me, I suppose.
No. Anyway, the mom leaves and Mulder notices his blood on the floor, as you mentioned earlier. Amy had a nosebleed, and in enters Walt Eubanks, the other detective on this case. Walt. Yeah. He's no nonsense. He's quite he follows the correct leads, and I think even though he makes a mistake, it was a lead that needs to be followed. I mean, you couldn't fault him for the lead that he followed. It made the most sense.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair,
and he's so straight talking. He's like, because they talk about what was the other woman's name? Lucy, was it?
Lucy.
Yeah. They talk about like the Lucy case and he's like, oh, it's a bit of a stretch. So Mulder says like, oh, do you mind if I go and interview her? And he's like, save me a job. It's just like so matter of fact. He's like, yeah, go for it. Knock yourself out. Fill your boots.
Yeah, usually the other detective are usually quite confrontational.
Yeah,
with
combative.
the FBI, so.
Combative? Is that the word?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but and it's like it's a nice, refreshing spin to see. Oh, these law enforcement are helping each other. That's a nice take on it.
Mulder starts asking, as you mentioned, about the woman in the fast food place. So there must be some kind of connection there. We then go to the University Medical Center in Seattle, and we see Scully arrive. She says she was delayed. I don't understand the point of this delay. I guess so Mulder could have this scene with the mom on his own. I guess.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, she was delayed. Mulder briefs her about what's happened and then also explains about Lucy and the connection that he believes that they've got. She says, that's spooky. Which he says that's why they called him.
Yeah.
He goes on to explain that Lucy was kidnapped for 5 years. I was going to say 5 years ago then, but it was for 5 years where she was apparently locked in a basement. And at this point, I think everybody watching this knew
it was
what
the same
happened.
guy.
Mulder and Scully go to question her.
Sorry to interrupt, they do mention that the guy was never caught as well.
Yeah.
So it pretty much telegraphs where it's going to go.
Exactly, yeah. Mulder and Scully go to question her. She doesn't know anything about this kidnapping. She doesn't know why she would say any of these words, and she's really defeatist about all of this. Doesn't think she can help, and she basically checks herself out now that she's not being held by the FBI anymore. And we see her just pouring taps and sort of looking forlorn, I guess, into the mirror.
Already you can see that sort of Mulder's got a connection with this woman.
Yeah.
And it sort of builds throughout this episode, but I think he really relates to her, or at least relates to what she's going through. And I think the implication is, even though Mulder fights against it halfway through the episode, the implication is that he sees Samantha in this woman.
Yeah, definitely.
And he sees Samantha's plight and what Samantha went through, and that's why he has such a strong bond and even like an emotional attachment.
I think
but he does argue that it's not all about Samantha.
No.
So I don't know whether that's just a defense mechanism or.
We then see Wade is basically his car's broken down, or by the looks of it, or he's stopped at the side of the road, and a tow truck driver pulls up.
The biggest sap in the world this tow truck driver is.
He offers to help him because somebody else called for him, but he's like, "Oh, I'll tow you anyway." And he says, "I'll do it for $20 or something."
He goes, the worst negotiator in the world. He says to him, he says, "I'll tow you." He says, "I don't need to be towed." flat tire, I'll change it for 40, cash in hand, the boss doesn't need to know.
Yeah.
The guy goes, nah, I'm okay. 10. It's like, whoa. Don't just lower yourself down to 10.
Drastically, yeah. And he's having none of this. Wade is. He picks up a... What would you call it? A tire iron. That's what I would call it. I don't know if there's another word for it. Anyway, he chases after this guy and he starts calling him a kook and drives away, basically. But this does not help Wade's case.
No, certainly not.
Later on. Back at the FBI regional field office, Scully starts suspecting that Lucy might be connected to these disappearances because she's got... Well, one of the other detectives thinks that she might be connected due to her history of like crime. You mentioned like prostitution, narcotics.
She's been in and out of the police station ever since she escaped from her imprisonment.
Scully also mentions that they found blood on her uniform that had a. It was the same. It was O positive or so.
No, hers was O positive, and Amy's B positive.
B positive, yeah.
Which
on the same
a rare blood type, so.
Yeah. So they think they need to do a DNA test to check if it's 100% matches.
Do you know what blood type you are?
Not a clue, no. Not a clue.
I'm probably O positive. I'm O positive. Mm-hmm. I think 90% of the population are O positive.
I think you mentioned it's the most popular, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a clue. I should probably find out just in case.
Gem, because I'm ashamed to admit that I've not got a phobia of them, but I don't like needles.
Oh no, I don't think anybody likes needles.
No. So I've been to give my blood a few times, but I don't really like it. It doesn't help. Every time I go, they like prick me like 8 times. They can never find my veins. My veins don't show up that well, and so that's just constant. I don't like it. Anyway, my girlfriend goes quite a bit. In fact, every time she gets a chance to go, she goes. And apparently, the last time she went, she's seen people pass out before and whatnot, but she's never seen someone, it popped out and blood started spraying like a water fountain in the air. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, I think that'd be scary.
That's terrifying, right? I don't know how much orange squash and biscuits help that afterwards.
The only time I've ever seen like blood do that is like in a bottom sketch or something when they chop a finger off. Yeah, that'd be worrying. But anyway, Mulder asks if this DNA testing and this line of questioning can be kept quiet because he doesn't want her treated like a suspect again.
Yeah.
Trying to stick up for her, basically.
He's protecting her throughout.
We then cut to the halfway house, Bright Angel halfway house, and we see Lucy. Another guy enters the house, and we see Lucy in her bed, shaking and cold. And she starts complaining about not being able to see. And she has this like blindness set over her, basically.
Yeah.
And has scratches appear on her face. And at the same time as this is happening, we see in the basement where Amy is being kept. She's also in the dark.
Yeah,
and
pretty
also
much mimicking the same movements.
Yeah, has the same scratches on her face, and we start seeing this connection more obviously now. Mulder arrives at the halfway house, and he's trying to convince Lucy to help Amy, basically. There's a paramedic there who's looking over her. Mulder basically takes her out for some food while this is happening. He asks if she's on drugs again, to which she denies, and her boyfriend does as well.
Is it a boyfriend?
I think it's a boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They do mention she has a boyfriend, so I assume this is a...
Maybe. I don't know. I just assumed it was a friend or something. I don't know.
She reiterates that she can't help Amy.
Why would she be? Like,
yeah.
As far as she's concerned, like, what could she do?
I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, I don't know how much she knows about the connection. Maybe it is just she gets these feelings, and maybe she's just thinking she's having some kind of like mental,
like a flashback almost.
Yeah. Mulder says that she's her best hope, and she basically says that if she is her best hope, she's in more trouble than he thinks.
Because if she's her best hope, then there is no hope.
Yeah, basically. I think she's got a lot of self-doubt, and the more you see her in this episode, the more you see that she's just, from the moment she was kidnapped, that her life's been ruined. Yeah,
she's a broken woman.
Yeah.
I thought she was a phenomenal actress, by the way. I really liked. I don't know why. something about it struck me. Like you could see the pain in her eyes. You know what? I don't know whether it's because like they play similar type of characters, but I was watching it. I was like, damn, she'd make a fine Sarah Connor.
I just had the same feeling.
Yeah. Just like there's just something about it, like the sort of rough around the edges, sort of
tough, broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's that same that same role. Back in the basement, Amy's cowering in the corner, and she's basically psychologically assaulted, I'd say, by Carl, where he keeps taking pictures of her in the dark. He's disorientated. She cries and asks for him to stop and let her go, and he just doesn't say anything. He just keeps taking pictures of her.
I don't know what this guy's aim is.
No, I think it's hinted at later that it is a sexual thing, because that's what Lucy mentions, but he's somehow got morals that he won't do anything
until she's 16. Yeah, that's what I gathered from it, because like they don't say it outright, but they mention that he won't touch it until it's right or something like that.
Basically, yeah.
And oh god,
it's weird, isn't it, that like even though he's kidnapped and he's holding somebody against their will, he's still in his head morally right. He's still not doing anything wrong, I guess. But there's people like that out there, unfortunately.
Have you ever watched Abducted in Plain Sight? I think I recommended it.
Is it a Netflix thing? I've not watched it now. No.
You need to watch that, dude.
Everyone tells me these things.
But it's just so mad. Oh, you need to watch it. I can't talk about it anymore. So
there's only so many programs I can watch where they just make me angry, though. You know what I mean?
But you know what? This is so mad. It doesn't even make you angry. It's just mad because it's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's actually quite funny, but not in a weird way. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I've heard it's sort of the stuff that happens is just unbelievable.
Yeah, but we can't talk about it, so
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
We're back to the police office, and Mulder's watching a video, and I thought this was Lucy, basically now mimicking what Amy's doing, but we find out that this was actually 1978. Shortly after she was found after being abducted. Scully enters at this point and he's explaining this to her. And he basically, Mulder takes pity on her for what she's been through, and he sort of understands her struggles. He even says that she was 15 or something like that in the video.
Yeah.
And she can barely talk.
Yeah, because he didn't talk to her the entire time he had her.
Exactly.
Scully was really harsh,
I thought that, especially after what she's been through.
Yeah.
She's been kidnapped,
herself, multiple times.
She seems,
well,
I don't know.
I think, because he says she could barely speak, and he says something along the lines of, it's incredible the lengths that she's gone to, or that it's incredible she is where she is. And so he's like, well, it's not that far.
Yeah.
Well, she lost her entire childhood, you know what I mean? It's like, to be where she is pretty incredible.
Yeah, she seemed very out of character in this episode, and I don't know if the writer, I've not seen his name appear on anything before. I don't know if that is something to do with it, but
there's certainly a lack of compassion that you wouldn't associate with Scully. Maybe, though, to play devil's advocate, maybe that's because they all think she's involved in the kidnapping, and then at that point, again, I might just be trying to explain it away for the waiters, so I'm not saying this is the case, but at that point, people can do mad things. Like, or you only have to look at, remember, I've seen like old videos of like, you know, when people find out that there's a paedophile in the neighbourhood, and then like normal everyday citizens like grab whatever weapon they have and then just its anger takes over. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's to that extent, but maybe they lose some of that compassion that they would usually have.
What was it now? The story where they think a paedophile's moved in and it's a paediatrician.
It's a paediatrician. He's got a paediatrician on it. Doctor, a paediatrician.
Like you'd hang it on your wall.
Yeah, I remember that
one. Scully notes that Amy's photo went missing after Carl was fired. And she also says he has a bipolar condition, which that seemed, again, another just out of... Like, that seemed to demonise a mental disorder. And it's what? That, again, just out of left field.
It's an easy way for the writers to get across that he's mentally unstable.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think much more was known about that condition at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah.
it's a buzzword more than anything else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's.
I don't think it's deliberately.
I don't think they'd use that now.
No, definitely not. They have all these details, and they also have his employee photo from when he was testing some camera work, and we just see there another picture of him looking completely emotionless. We then see Wade leaving Amy in the cellar, and she notices a crack of light coming through one of the walls, and we see that this is like some paper over a bit of wood, basically. So she starts digging and trying to break this bit of wood down. We see Lucy in the restaurant, and Mulder enters, tries to talk to her. Lucy just is having none of it, and she says that she's struggling now after she thought she'd been fine for so long.
Yeah.
Mulder basically shows her a picture of Wade and asks if she knows who he is, and she runs away from this, flees, just as at the same time we see Lucy fleeing from Carl. One thing I noticed about this scene was all of the sound effects felt really fake. I don't know if you picked up on it.
No, I didn't.
Obviously I know them overdubbing sound effects, but it felt like really heavy-handed with the way they do things. Like, if you've ever watched Tim and Eric, when they do sound effects on stuff, they turn the volume up on it, and like, so it's like a kiss is like really like for a comic. It felt like that. It was like way too much. Like she was like, what was she doing? Something in the woods, and it was like, I was like, whoa! It's not like it just sounded weird.
I thought I didn't notice that. I really liked the way that every time Amy would turn left, Lucy would turn left.
I like the cutting of the scenes.
Yeah, you could sort of the way they spliced it. It was like it worked really well. You could see that they were mimicking each other. And then didn't they throw some shots of Lucy when she was a child running? Or was that later on in the episode?
I don't remember seeing that. No.
Well, there was definitely some shots of Lucy running. I think it might have been spliced in with this when she was a child, like obviously when she was running away.
It might have been this scene, but I didn't notice that.
The child actress, I don't know who she is, but whoever that was, the running, it was like she was told to run in slow motion, and it was just like it was like Baywatch. It looked really out of place in like what was meant to be a tense moment.
Yeah. So I thought there was some problems with this scene, but ultimately didn't ruin the effect of it. It was just a bit weird.
I actually myself, I really enjoyed it. I didn't notice the sound effects, and I loved the bits with Amy where the camera was following her as she was running, and like it would just flash to the left as she would look to the left, and you would see the shadow of him running after her.
Yeah,
and like it would flash back, and I don't know. I thought it captured the panic really well.
He catches up with her anyway as she collapses down on the floor, and Wade has Amy again.
Yeah, and Lucy collapses on the floor at the same time.
Yeah. We cut back to the halfway house, and Mulder and Lucy are in Lucy's room. Mulder is speaking to Lucy in her room. He's explaining who Wade is to her. He wants to know what feeling she's getting and what she's going through, but as she's trying to explain this, we see Scully and the detective Eugene outside arrive. He goes outside, and they basically say that Lucy had a DNA match on her uniform there, so it's evidence that this. And at that point,
it would be negligent not to arrest her. I completely understand the decision for this.
So they go in to arrest her, but unfortunately she's disappeared.
She's gone.
Yeah. We then see Wade and Amy in the cellar. He's shouting at her for trying to escape. She keeps saying that she's thirsty, and he eventually gives her this dirty water out of a cup and locks her back up again.
Chokes her with her as well.
Yeah. So
again, just to point out, I thought Wade, good actor to play Wade, but it was kind of like this sort of creepy, emotionless role. So like you didn't really get to see his range. But I thought I might be biased because I was like really excited to see a character. But I thought Jill Slade did a really good job as well, especially for how young she was. I don't know whether she was 15. I'd imagine she's probably 16. to film
maybe,
scenes,
yeah,
but...
maybe. Yeah, because to be fair, I think in most like Hollywood stuff and in most TV stuff, they cast somebody a bit older to play a younger role anyway, don't they?
Yeah.
We're back at the police station, and Mulder, Scully, and the agent are talking about Lucy. The detective argues with Mulder, saying that all of this evidence now backs up the fact that Lucy must be involved in this. Mulder thinks that this blood that had come on on a uniform could have come from Lucy. Basically, she bled it out, is what he says.
He thinks that she bled Amy's blood.
Amy's blood.
Which, I think Scully literally says...
I hate to say this, Mulder, but I think you just ran out of credibility.
Yeah.
I think at this point...
But he's spot on. Again, he's spot on. He always is. But
it's hard to explain what he's sort of getting across.
And again, they never really do explain how this is happening.
No, it's just, I think it's just, it's hinted that they have some kind of psychic connection, but how, we don't know. Other than the fact that they've both experienced the same trauma, I guess.
Yeah.
Scully thinks that maybe she's working with Wade or for him in some kind of like Stockholm syndrome kind of like way, or maybe even to just what's it like? Do you remember in Saw the twist later on how like
I think that is Stockholm syndrome.
Where she starts doing the killings for her. Anyway, if you've never watched Saw, that's
spoilers.
Spoilers. Come on,
it's like 20 years old.
Yeah. Scully asks, quite rightly, why is she running if she's got nothing to hide? Mulder explains that she's scared of all this. Scully accuses him of basing all this evidence and over-rationalising what, against the obvious conclusion here. And she basically points it to the fact that it's too similar to his sister's case, which...
It's a trigger for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does annoy Mulder in this scene, and he sort of explains that he understands that he could be too close to it, but he doesn't think that is the case.
Yeah, and he makes the point that one moment in his life doesn't sum up everything that happens to him from that day on. Yeah,
exactly. They get the truck driver in, who saw Wade earlier on, and he mentions that he saw him acting strangely, and they ask where his car was and where it was heading, and from that they deduce that he was heading to Easton, which is also where they found Lucy.
Yeah, I felt like this, it was like a little bit of a stretch. I understand why they did it, but I'm just like, surely they'd have just checked where Lucy was found anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. It's probably the closest building to where Lucy was found.
Yeah.
Maybe just search that cabin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Creepy cabin.
Yeah, with the basements, with the hidden door,
We then arrive at Easton, Washington, and all these police cars come bursting around the corner. They're non-conspicuous at all. That's not a word, is it? Unconspicuous. Inconspicuous. Inconspicuously?
Yeah.
We need a thesaurus. Wade does see this, and I don't know if he's spooked by this or if he's, unfazed, I guess, trying to act cool. Scully mentions that they can't just go asking people if they've seen Wade because somebody will alert him to this. But Mulder points out that if he's a photographer, he would have had an account at the local photographers, which we had actually seen him have a bag for earlier on.
Yeah. Just a quick note. Didn't Mulder mention that they only really do school shots? Like, it's school photography, isn't it? Like, school pictures, like yearbooks.
I guess so, yeah.
And is that a thing? Like, exclusively school pictures? Because I just thought, where do you make your money for the rest of the year?
I don't know, actually, yeah. Like, I mean, it depends how many schools they're operating around. Like,
yeah, but, like, you get your yearly photos done maybe September.
Maybe graduations
end of the
year,
like that, yeah. So what do you do for, like, November till May?
Don't know, coast on all that.
All that money that you've made,
charge a lot in those periods, and then don't have to worry. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I know there's like...
I didn't even know there was a thing. I just thought it was I don't know.
There's like there was like a company that did the university ones when Tash graduated. I don't know if they are exclusively for like universities and schools and stuff like that though. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
To think about.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway,
okay.
They find Wade's cabin in the woods, and the cops pull up, guns out straight away.
Yeah.
Charge it. To be fair, I like the action scene of them running.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they find that the cabin is empty, and the hatch is open. Mulder goes down into the basement, and he finds a girl down there. He initially assumes that it's Amy. As do we all. And then we get this quite cool reveal shot, actually, of him leading her out, and as she looks up, we see that it is Lucy in the basement. Later on, they're interviewing Lucy, and Eubanks is just shouting at her. And he threatens her, basically. She doesn't know where she's being kept. Mulder says that he'll take her outside because they don't have anything more to question her with. She says to Mulder outside that he hasn't touched her, and that's why he's taking these pictures. So this is the implication that it was a sexual thing with her. He says that he sees it that he needs to have her to himself, and now that he doesn't feel like he can, he's even more dangerous.
Yeah.
And Mulder again urges her to help, and Lucy says she's starting to feel cold and wet. She sort of collapses down, and Mulder starts thinking that if they have this connection, that maybe Amy is being drowned or is in water, and they figure it must be in a local river. So Mulder and Scully rush to find Wade. It's quite fast paced. The ending is so I'll just power through these few scenes. They find Wade attempting to drown Amy, and he keeps saying nobody's going to spoil us again. So this motif that he's
just horrific shots.
Back with the police that have been asked to look after Lucy, we see Lucy appearing to start drowning in the back of the police car,
like even coughing up water.
Mulder and Scully tell Wade to stop what he's doing, but he refuses, so Mulder just shoots Wade dead.
Which is the right choice.
Yeah, exactly. And we see him just float down the river, basically. Mulder and Scully get Amy out of the water and attempt to do CPR on her. But because of this connection that they've got, it just starts reviving Lucy. We see her being brought back to life in the back of the car, miraculously, I guess, after the doctors are called to her. We see Amy on the riverbank after they've attempted CPR on her, and to no avail, she is dead. Mulder keeps trying to do this CPR. Scully tells him it's no use, and Mulder just walks away like he's failed. But then we see that Amy just starts to get better.
Yeah.
She starts coughing up again. She recovers. The other detectives arrive, and they mention that Lucy, they take Amy away and into custody. Not into custody, I suppose is it into custody?
Yeah.
Take away, I guess.
Temporary custody.
Yeah. And they mention that Lucy's been having medical attention, and Mulder immediately knows what's happened. He runs away. Another detective goes to recover Wade's body. And then we see back later on in the at night as Mulder arrives. He sees Lucy dead, basically.
Yeah.
She's not survived. Or she's sacrificed herself in some way to help Amy. And he's overcome by all of this, and he breaks down and starts crying over her body. It's quite a sad scene, actually.
To be honest with you, just listening to you recap that, I didn't take that from it, but it makes sense to me now. So, I just assumed that Amy woke up, and I don't know, Lucy just stopped fighting, and it was the same thing. I didn't actually portray it as one of them had to live, and maybe one gave the life to the other. I'm not sure, but yeah, they do mention that Lucy might have just it was the only way to escape.
Yeah.
And maybe that was it. But yeah, I thought it was good. I thought the fact that I thought it was quite a sad scene with Amy until she survives, and then you get that sort of that sort of sadness comes straight back when Mulder's just broken by this sort of the sight of her body.
I think, it's because he is so close to it again, like, with the parallels.
And he was so emotionally attached to her throughout.
Yeah. And then we're on to the final scene where they're at the halfway house. Scully arrives and Mulder's already there. He says, Scully says that Amy will be fine. She's got no lasting effects, basically. And she also says that Lucy died of what appears to be drowning, and she had 5 litres of water in her lungs. So
which kind of proves that there was connected.
Yeah, definitely. Scully sort of helps Mulder. What's the word when you're helping someone with grieving? There is a word, I can't remember what it is, but she sort of helps him with this and basically says that he had part of this connection.
Consoles.
Consoles, that's it, yeah. Says that he had part of this connection between the two and helped them, save one another, basically. And he later tells Scully that he suspects that she died not just to save Amy, but as you mentioned, to forget what Wade did to her all those years ago. And that's when we end the episode on that sad note, really, I guess. What did you think?
I really enjoyed this episode. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was creepy. I thought it had some interesting topics and some quite controversial topics that I'm glad that they've sort of decided to tackle. Because it's so easy to turn your nose up at stuff like this because it could offend a few people or it doesn't quite work within the sort of family show type theme. But yeah, I think they pulled it off really well, and just with enough subtlety there, it worked. I really enjoyed it. I think great performances all around too.
Yeah. I don't think I was as high on it as you were. I did think it was a decent episode though. I thought it was quite an emotional one. The only thing I think I lacked was like the full connection. Like I didn't think there was enough built up, but I guess it's hard to do in a one episode. I guess it's a Monster of the Week, I suppose.
Yeah.
That kind of format. But I thought the performances was strong, especially from David Duchovny. I did like it for that aspect, to be fair.
You know what might have worked? If she was involved in the saving of Amy. If Lucy was involved in the saving, so like maybe she coughed water, she realises, like, right at the end, this is just like fan fiction at this point, but right at the end, maybe, she coughs up water and she realises, actually, I can help. Because I've just figured out she's in water. She coughs up some water, say. And so she goes with Mulder and Scully to the lake.
Yeah.
Helps get Amy off and dies in the process.
Yeah.
Thus, the connection is more real there because it's like they meet and it's actually sort of trading a life. And she does escape and she gets one over on Wade. You know what I mean? Maybe, Maybe that would have worked better for you. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it was, but I didn't love it, but I thought it was a decent episode though. So still pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
Luke's production notes.
The screenplay for Oubliette was authored by Charles Grant Craig, a writer who at the time had little background or experience within television. Before joining the writing staff of The X-Files during the third series, his most significant writing credit included episodes of Renegade and Booker. Ever heard of those?
Nope. Which I think goes to show what they're trying to say.
His most notable television screenplay was the new Alfred Hitchcock presents entry, Final Escape, which I think was like a Twilight Zone kind of program.
No, still not. Never heard of him.
Though Craig left the staff shortly before Oubliette entered production for unknown reasons, he was credited as a supervising producer on several installments for the third season.
Okay.
Don't
Interesting.
Unknown circumstances.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good, does it?
Yeah. Interesting.
That's usually like a conflict and they just sort of agree to part ways.
The title was derived from the French word oubliette, which refers to a pit-like dungeon consisting of total darkness with a hole that opens from the top.
Okay. Like a well?
Like a well, yeah.
I don't see any There's no description there of like an hourglass figure. Just I think the common place to go to there would be a well.
But it says dungeon. I wouldn't say a well is a dungeon.
I wouldn't say an hourglass is a dungeon either.
Depends what's in there, I suppose.
Do you remember what was that film with Morgan Freeman? And it was
Evan Almighty.
No. It has a dungeon where like there's a load of girls being kidnapped and like kept in this dungeon. It's a really good film. I'll search it. You carry on, and I'll search.
I'm just trying to think of like the most unlikely Morgan Freeman film.
March of the Penguins. Is that what you think of? Is that your punchline that I had to give you?
I couldn't think of a the only other one would have been Bruce Almighty. I've already gone Evan Almighty. I can't do both.
I want to say Kiss the Girls. It is. It's Kiss the Girls.
I never watched that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a dungeon because that's got like a hole in the top as it like spreads out underneath. It's in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I think I've only ever seen... I struggle with that joke because I've only ever seen Morgan Freeman in films that are like grim, like Shawshank Redemption, stuff like that, and it's like, it's not that funny because it's like, well, that is a better prison.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, there's a few decent, funny films with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, March of the Pig, I missed that one.
Yeah.
Forgot he narrated that.
Tut. Yeah. It needs to get better.
Anyway... the narrative centres on Mulder's identification with Lucy, which is based on the abduction of his sister Samantha. It was decided that time would not be spent on Scully's sympathy with the victim, despite her own abduction experiences in the second season episode Ascension.
That's what we said. There we go. Look at that. I think that was a mistake. To get rid of all. I mean, I'm not saying it hurt the episode. Maybe it did, but. It's not a major flaw for me, but I think it would have been better if you had Scully a little bit more compassionate.
I think she's too cold. You know what I mean? I can understand her pointing to the obvious conclusion, but she's too cold about it. She doesn't seem to have any compassion towards it.
Yeah.
So, it seems out of character, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway. Despite this, Scully is gentle towards Mulder and wanted to believe him until the evidence pointed overwhelmingly to Lucy. After that point, Scully takes on an antagonistic role going against the wishes of her partner. So I guess that's intended, but it didn't feel right to me. Though not originally included in the script, David Duchovny added the line about how his connection to the case was not just because of Samantha. He seems to have a lot of clout.
That was a good ad-lib if that was ad-libs, yeah.
He seems to have a lot of clout in terms of, like, writing, like...
I think you do, don't you? Once they start to trust you, and you they trust that you know the character, then who better to come up with lines than the character himself?
Series creator Chris Carter stated that in Craig's original draft, Lucy was more hard-boiled, but actress Tracy Ellis played her as a more wounded person. Fox's Standards and Practices Department... sorry, that was a separate thing. Do you have any points on that?
No.
Fox's Standards and Practices Department was uncomfortable with the screenplay because it featured a 12-year-old girl being kidnapped. The network requested that she be in her late teens and the plot would not heavily feature Amy's ordeal or suffering.
Yeah. No, that's what I said earlier, wasn't it? That it's brave of a network to pick something like this up, especially maybe not today, but back then it is.
I think
a gutsy move.
You always hear about these cases of like people being kidnapped and stuff like that, high profile cases. It always is.
Anytime it's underage kids as well, it becomes problematic. Doesn't it? And I can understand why.
Now, this one will interest you, I reckon.
Okay.
Jewel State, is it? That's
Jewel State, yeah.
Jewel State had just turned 13 when she was cast.
Wow, really?
But the producers thought that she looked older and even applied makeup to add to the effect.
Yeah, I thought I'd have guessed 16.
Yeah. We were saying earlier they probably casted her older. That's interesting. The reason for the concern was because the original screenplay featured similarities to the Polly Klaas case, which had received large public attention around the time of the production. Polly Klaas was a 12-year-old girl who was kidnapped during a slumber party and eventually strangled to death. The antagonist of the episode was compared to Richard Allen Davis. the culprit of the case, who was convicted and sentenced to death for his crimes. I'm going to butcher this name and I apologise. Naguère Genji, in his novel The Unofficial X-Files Companion, commented that tragically, unlike Amy, Class didn't survive her abduction.
Oh, God.
So yeah, it's unfortunate that these... it's unfortunate the events happen anyway. But yeah, if you've written a story like this, it's understandable that you don't want to put it out at the time, or you're a bit hesitant about putting it out at the time.
Yeah, and of course you can't foresee any of the events when you're writing these stories.
It was the same with like a completely different event, but there was a lot of like disaster. I'm sure there was like a disaster film meant to come out at the same day. Or the day after of like September the 11th.
Yeah.
And obviously they just scrapped the entire film.
Yeah, there was
or it came out.
There was a Friends episode as well. You can still watch it now. It's on YouTube. I don't know whether they ever released it onto the DVDs, but there was a Friends episode that they just didn't air. Because it's funny the way these things work, but it was due to go out, I think it was the day after September 11th, so it was due to go out September 12th, I think. Or at least around that time. And the whole episode was based on Chandler making inappropriate jokes going through security about bombs and then being held up in security. And isn't it just funny how it works that was due to go out on that same day and they end up scrapping that. You can watch that on YouTube now. That's like a forgotten episode. But again, how are you supposed to know? You can't figure these things out.
No, definitely not.
So it's just one of those things. And plus, it's just, even though I understand the reason why you wouldn't show stuff like this and you would change plans, but it shouldn't affect it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you should just carry on. You should continue. But it's tough, I know. And especially something like that, you've got to be very sensitive.
That's the thing. There's I know we would be of the opinion of carry on. You shouldn't let it affect you. But there's so many people, especially if you personally lost somebody, then it can
be painful. Yeah. And if you can stop that pain, then why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, on to lighter topics. I think. The episode was filmed at Mount Seymour because it was the only location that met all of the conditions of the crew. Oubliette was shot in Vancouver, British Columbia, as were the rest of the episodes of this third season. The location of the antagonist's house was an important factor during production. Craig's screenplay called for a remote house in the middle of nowhere, but the producers required a site closer to the studio. With a production crew consisting of 60 members, it was decided to use somewhere that could appear rustic while being next to a parking lot.
Okay.
It's... You always forget about the logistics of actually doing this. A suitable area was found near the peak of Mount Seymour, the location that had previously been used in Ascension. Now they mention that. It does actually look quite familiar. The mountain featured both a parking lot and a log cabin that met the needs of the filming crew. The issue arose... Now, this is quite funny, actually, because it's obvious now they mention that it was used in Ascension. An issue arose because the mountain had a ski lift, which needed to be avoided while composing shots. Over 1,000 prop trees had to be brought into the filming site to camouflage surroundings to give the atmosphere a remote feel.
God, no way.
It's like they're painting the rocks in Anasazi. The crew encountered a larger issue with the contract with the Provincial Park Committee. The park required a 7-day notice before filming of any kind was approved. The production manager had to contact the park representative directly, who assured him that their needs would be met.
Yes, please. We've spent so much money.
I always think with big productions, it's a pain because you have to get permission and stuff like that. It must be so easy for when they film Jackass or something like that. They probably don't ask permission. They just do it, and if they get told off, whatever. Yeah. it must be a better position to be in.
Yeah. Better to apologise than ask permission.
Yeah. Beg for forgiveness than
something
ask
for
that. Permission. Yeah. For the final sequence, both the Capilano River and Lynn headwaters were considered. However, the Seymour River was ultimately chosen because it was the safest filming location. The filming of the episode was plagued by rain and heavy weather conditions. In one example, while directing the climax, the river had risen by 4 or 5 inches, causing the crew to move to another position to shoot at a week later.
Oh, God.
This cost the crew several days' worth of production and a large sum of money. Shooting conditions were further complicated because shoots involving water were notably difficult, requiring a new set of costumes for each take.
God, yeah, you don't even think about this stuff, do you? But yeah, I can imagine.
It all adds up, doesn't it? And now, prepare your ears, ladies and gentlemen. I alluded to this earlier, and I mean, we would never use this language.
Oh, God, here we go.
Because of the extensive outdoor shooting, director Kim Manners hated directing the episode, commenting that it couldn't be fucking worse. We apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for what you've just heard. But
that's his words. That is his
not
words.
Ours. The words of Kim Manners, not ourselves.
Yeah. Send all complaints to him.
Don't shoot the messenger. Despite a negative experience with shooting on the mountain, the episode Gethsemane, I think that's how it's produced, from the 4th season was filmed there with similar issues, so we'll have to look out for that.
Yeah.
Similar issues. It's like, why did you not learn? Gillian Anderson's stand-in, Bonnie Hay, who appeared in a cameo, previously played a doctor in both Colony and Endgame, and a nurse in DPO.
Okay, interesting.
There you go, more returning stand-ins, I guess. That is the end of the production notes. It was
a lot this week.
A long one this week, but I guess it was mainly because of all the negative things
that
happened.
All the things that happened on set.
Yeah. So we don't have any feedback this week, as you know, it's our 2-week thing. But anyway, we'll skip over that.
Yeah.
Get in contact with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find all the links below. You can also email us at mostunwantedpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's it. You almost. That's the most crucial part.
Yeah.
The podcast part.
Just email them. Email the other one. See what happens. You never know. Maybe you might get the FBI. Next week we'll be covering the 9th episode, titled Nasai.
Okay. No idea what that's about.
No idea.
No clues.
I think none of the titles ever give it away, and we always guess in a wildly way. Didn't you say The Walk was going to be about somebody like attacking people and he's a werewolf or something?
I can't remember. Maybe.
I
was way off.
Yeah,
what was you saying Nasai is going to be about?
Nasai. Well, it sounds like Japanese. Nasai does like
demon samurais.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be about demon samurais.
Yeah, probably going to be demon samurais.
Now, we have to give the behind the scenes, otherwise that's laughing.
I know, yeah, that's just a complete inside joke based on something that we've just seen.
Yeah, so there's a picture of the Wikipedia article from Nisai that has an alien on it, and we just keep pointing at it and saying demon samurai.
It's a demon samurai. I can't wait for this demon samurai episode. Yeah. Definitely a demon samurai.
I mean, it's probably funny if you were here, but you're not, so...
It could be about aliens as well. One of the two. One of the two.
Who knows? But anyway, we're going to love you and leave you.
Yeah.
Tara in our local dialect. We haven't never done that. We all did all these languages around the world. We need to do the local. So,
yeah.
Tara.
Tara a bit.
Sound like Green Billy then.